So it's about 2:30 and we're just threading our way through the Barrier Reef. We're on a starboard tack, but just as we go through this sort of narrow part, we've switched to a port tack. Now unfortunately I've got the pole pulled out on the port side, which means I'm on the wrong tack for the pole. And I've got about a third of a mile wriggle room to get through this very narrow gap. So it's a bit hair-raising. Luckily there isn't that much swell, so the boat's kind of steady in the water. So and every now and again it just kind of like, you know, the wave catches us and it just takes us past, and the head sail backs a little bit. So it's a bit nerve-wracking. It's absolutely pitch black out there tonight. There's no moon up, so I've got no reference other than the chart and the depth. So I'm keeping an eye on both.
And in case you hadn't noticed, I just have to point out how well these boats sail. They hold a really good steady course, they don't heel too much in all sorts of conditions. And it's possible for me from the cockpit to operate all the sails. I can furl the genoa, the mizzen and the mainsail in and out all by myself without even leaving the cockpit. So they really are good for single-handed sailors or times when, you know, the rest of the crew are down below and you just got to do it on your own. Okay, so we've just gone from Cairns and it's been an overnighter and we're now arriving in Lizard Island. This is kind of an island where there's a resort and there's a research station. We'll have a few days here to do some amazing walks hopefully and some snorkeling. If you have not sailed your boat to Lizard Island, we discovered that the only other way to get here is by air. So we made it to Lizard Island, and what we're going to do today is climb up to Cook's Lookout, which is up there somewhere. Apparently it's very hard, but you know, this is the very last bit of physical exercise we're going to do for a while, because we'll be sailing to Thursday Island and then we'll be sailing across to Indonesia. Following in the footsteps of Lieutenant James Cook, who visited Jiguru, which is Lizard Island, in 1770. The lower section of the track traverses sloping granite slabs with rough cut steps in places. In spring, look for the distinctive kapok trees with fluffy seed pods, and about halfway you can rest in the grove of shady acacias and eucalypts. Look for but don't disturb the golden orchids growing on rock faces. Towards the summit, the woodland gives way to a steep ascent through grasslands and rocks. Okay, so we're nearly at the top of Cook's Lookout, and all the bush around here looks like it's burnt. Apparently I think the Aborigines used to manage the land like that, but it's very dry. And from the summit you will be rewarded with a spectacular 360-degree view over the reef. Barrier Reef is protected as a marine park where many different activities are managed. It was inscribed on the World Heritage List in 1981 to be protected for all time.
So we're standing on part of the largest barrier reef in the world, extending over 23,000 kilometres. And Lizard Island was once part of the mainland, known as the continental island. It was separated from the mainland when sea levels rose, at the end of the last ice age. And today, like other islands in the lizard group, it's surrounded by a fringing reef which rises from a depth of about 20 meters. Is that the Great Barrier Reef then?
That is.
So that is it?
That is the Great Barrier Reef.
Nice.
return along the same track, taking great care. And just in case you were wondering, the name Lizard Island was given to it by Captain Cook when he said the only land animals we saw here were lizards, and these seemed to be pretty plenty, which occasioned my naming the island Lizard Island. Just gone 5 in the morning. It's probably near towards 6 now, and we are leaving Lizard Island. It's been really cool stopping there. Good 3 days of hiking and snorkeling, and we met a nice community of other sailors that are off to Indonesia. So now we're heading off to all the way to Thursday Island, which is going to be it's a 340-mile passage. So we'll arrive in a couple of days, and that's where we're going to be checking out.
So, we recently found a new really good recipe. It's kind of like pizza, but like for lunch. Like lunch pizza. You put tomato and then any topping you want. If you're going to be normal, you could like onions, you can put salami and tuna. And then when you do that, when you've done all your toppings, you put cheese over the top, you put it in a pan, and then you cook it until you think it looks good and like all the cheese is like melted and bubbly. And then you just leave it for a bit and it gets nice and crispy, and then you can eat it. Real good.
We are just heading up east coast of Australia still, of course. Where else would we be going? And we just passed a Australian warship just passing us by, which is quite exciting. We're up the shipping channel, but we're trying to stay to the side of the shipping channel to not get in the way of all these faster moving vehicles. And yes, we just had our new best favourite lunch, which lunch pizza we're kind of calling it, aren't we? Mediterranean lunch pizza, I think that's what it's going to be called.
So we're weaving our way through the what I call the coral gardens of northeastern Australia, through the Barrier Reef. And as we're doing it, we're listening to a podcast on Captain Cook's voyages in the South Pacific, and it just absolutely astonishes me that without any charts or GPS, somebody could have sailed through all of this and not lost the ship. You know, I mean, you do hear accounts of Captain Cook saying that at some points he felt he was surrounded on all sides by a reef, but to sail through here at night with no navigation equipment other than what he had on board, to me, it's just incredible that he managed to do it. And I mean, hats off to the seamanship and the cartography skills and just the maverick sort of adventure spirit that those guys had in those days. It's incredible.
So a lot of the Barrier Reef you can't actually see at all. I mean, you know it's all around you because we've got it on our charts, but you can't see it. And then occasionally you get bits of the Barrier Reef that come up above the surface, and then you know that it just confirms that it is actually correct. If you like following our story, please hit the super thanks and help towards the creation of these videos. And if you'd like to have more access, we would love it if you join our Patreon family, where you get ad-free videos, cockpit sessions, downloads, guides, and you can message us directly.
Coral atolls that took 30 million years to form. They are as remote as they are idyllic, seemingly almost as distant as stars in the sky. But when their first inhabitants needed homes and hospitality, crossing the sea in their tiny canoes, these Polynesian islands rose from the waves to greet them.
we're nearing the highest point in Australia. So we're going through this pass. You've got Fly Point on the left and Lions Point on the right, and it's Albany Pass. And yeah, we've travelled thousands of miles actually from Brisbane, and we realise that it's a bit like travelling across the Mediterranean. But you know, there's very little. We've noticed looking on land, we've been quite close to shore most of the way, and there's never really very much. You never really see any cities. I don't think we've seen a single city in the last, or building in the last, 4 days. So it's like wilderness and national park, and yeah, Australia's massive, really. But yeah, we keep thinking, well, there's so much, potential here, really. But then we're also very aware that up here, up in the north of Queensland, it's where you get crocodiles and probably sharks, and you've kind of got that whole other side of it, really. You've got to watch out for. It just seems idyllic, but you really are. You've got a lot of things that can actually cause a lot of problems for you. So, but yeah, it is quite amazing getting to this point now. We've got nice light winds. Our boat is just gently moving across the ocean. We're only going sort of 3 to 4 knots. I can't imagine what this is like when you've got the really strong prevailing southeasterlies, but I'm kind of quite happy it's like this. And yes, later on today we should be in Horn Island, which is opposite Thursday Island. So as we're going through the pass, we can see everyone doing the fishing, which it's famous for, fly fishing on the beach and in their 4-wheel drives. So it's great. You kind of feel really close to this. It's that red soil, that red sort of Australian kind of sand. It's really cool. Heading to Flinders Passage, and on our right we've got the Tuesday Islands. There's a few of them, little ones, and then we've got Wednesday Island, and behind Horn Island we've got Thursday Island, and further on is Friday Island, which we'll probably see when we leave. So obviously he must have arrived on Tuesday and each day gone along, I suppose.
So this is it. This is the final bit of our Australian odyssey. We're just coming between Horn Island and Thursday Island now. There's kind of a weird little channel marker. On Navionics it's got a kind of a squiggle right in the middle of it, which is a bit weird in the middle of a channel. But anyway, we've got to trust the channel markers. And then we've got to turn a hard left onto Horn Island, because even though we can anchor in Thursday Island, because we've got to check out tomorrow, the swell is kind of exposing that side of the island a bit. So cut a long story short, we're here, we're going to drop anchor, check out tomorrow, and then carry on our round the world adventure, aren't we?
Yeah. Current literally rips through at Torres Straits. Apparently it goes between 3 and 5 knots down here, and I think we've got quite a bit with us. It's starting now to go with us, because we've got hardly any winds, 12 knots, but we're going at 6 knots, more than 6 knots, 6.5 knots. There's nothing much in Horn Island. We stopped there and it looked a bit kind of quiet and desolate, really, and one shop, sort of a little bit almost depressing. So we've just come ashore onto Horn Island, just to check it out, maybe try a shop, and tomorrow we go over to Thursday Island over there and check out. So yeah, I can't see any crocodiles yet, so I'm looking out for. Okay, so we're just going to check out Thursday Island. Okay, go up this end of the dock. Thursday Island is a little bit more kind of going for it, I would say. It had a lovely cultural centre, which was my favourite. Oh, it wasn't planned, but we kind of walking along and, you know, as usual, I sort of drag everyone in. But it just showed some really nice descriptions of how the Torres Islanders think and their way of life. And it's a bit like the whole Aboriginal Dreamtime thing. We haven't learnt a lot about that one being here, but it is like that. Their artwork's like that, and they have all these different ways of describing islanders. You know, like the people of the passage, the people of the coral, the people of, you know, the forest, and they kind of, just the way they understand the world. They understand it in relation to the weather and the stars and the currents. The currents is a big thing here because they're in this massive straits where there's so strong currents. I mean, I think we had like 7 knots coming out, and they kind of do their artwork and sort of describe what's going on there through art. The big supermarket in Torres Strait and Thursday Island, and this is the last shop before we head off across the ocean again to Indonesia. New continent. Everything's pretty much almost twice as much, or at least a third more than the prices in Australian mainlands, but kind of knew that, so we did most of our provisioning in Cairns, and it was just a bit of a top up really. Thursday Island is where all the checkout section is. Thank you for watching and enjoying these videos. So if you're the type of person that would like to thank us in return, then you can simply click on the super thanks button below, or otherwise you can support us on Patreon and get more than just 4 videos a month from as little as $3 a month. We look forward to seeing you there.